Today we're in historic Springfield, getting the whole team ready for Porch Fest. Busy day on Friday, getting everything set up, including that we run by each property. We're going by Beulah Schoolhouse, which is a 40,000 square foot school across the way. Then we're gonna go to the Villages and meet with some of the smaller tenants. And then from there, we're gonna move on to Phoenix Arts District, which is a project that we've supported the group from Miami. Futurist Cities, Tony Cho, their amazing team, and made a little investment and have really tried to facilitate, do anything that we can to help add value within Springfield. Then from there, we're gonna run by Springfield Lofts, check out our project there that we're working on, which is 78 units, 10,000 square feet, adaptive reuse of some old historical buildings and converting those over. Once those are converted over, then what's gonna happen is that whole area along Henry Clutho Trail is gonna raise up. So we're also working on the Carpenter Museum, which is a museum that we picked up as a part of the strategy on the trail, because what happened is when David Carpley's passed, the building hadn't been touched in 30 years, was really distressed, but it's a beautiful asset, a beautiful property for the neighborhood, and it ties into our overall strategy of investing in Springfield and then along the trail. Then from there, we're gonna run downtown, check out some investments there. We're gonna go huddle with a team and then start running around for the day.
Depending on timing, there's a few properties that I want to see, a few on market and a few off.
Yep.
So I'll fill you in later on.
Yeah, we got to run by the new acquisitions to keep things flowing. Once we finish Carp, Springfield Lofts will have a full separate GC, but our in-house team will need a smaller project. This is Beulah Schoolhouse. This was a kind of a COVID acquisition where the Boys and Girls Club was looking to get rid of the asset because the carrying cost was so high. We featured this property a year or two ago when we first introduced Springfield. And since then, what's happened is that the tenants have continued to evolve. We've filled in the village. We now have our construction team. And there we just had a huge haunted house where we brought out all the neighborhood kids and set it up and really tried to scare everybody. But you got a 40,000 square foot school here and then a couple other buildings on the village that we're gonna go check out today. So this is what we call the Villages. The Villages were some additional buildings and parcels that came with the acquisition of the school. It was previously used by the Boys and Girls Club for administrative space, but they needed to get rid of everything because they're moving over the east side. And so what we did is we have a creative tenant, Nexus, that has some subtenants that are all about community integration, activity, arts, design, technology, events. And then we have Master Don, who's a pillar of the community. He's been around for decades. He does karate and summer programs and really is a positive influence for some of the kids in the neighborhood that have challenging upbringings. And they come to him and they get that discipline, and there's really nothing else in their life that gives them that level of discipline. And that's what originally got us involved in the Boys and Girls Club and this whole project is when I first came to the area with a house across the street, I'd come over and drop masks off for the kids out in front of these doors when this thing was packed for the Boys and Girls Club kids. Part of the PUD, we got these all converted as residential because when we looked at them, you couldn't tell at the time whether the office market, education market, or residential market would be strongest. And so the comment to the city was we need the flexibility to do whatever is needed to preserve the buildings. This courtyard is a communal area where a bunch of events are held. We're working on looking at the building across the street in order to bring it together where the tenancy is here and then the retail will all tie together on Pearl and 8th, which is a main intersection in historic Springfield. The legend, Cedric. How's it going, Cedric? Well, the first few times I met you, I had a feeling like this is a good person and he does what he says and he works hard, and I just had a real good feeling about it. So some years later, where are we at?
So I think in a few years I have proved that you was not wrong.
That's right. And now we're excited you're in Jacksonville.
Yeah, I love it over here. This is my corner now. Want to take a look at my office and my dog in there?
Give them a quick tour.
Come over here.
So when we took this property over, it was all wet and moldy. So before Cedric was in Jax, we had to gut it all out and try to get all the moisture and dry it in really good. And then from there, the artist, Cedric's an artist. He's construction, but he has vision. Came in and made this really cool man cave that he prepared two times now. I come in here and Cedric sets it up like this. And I come in here and I have the best Latin. I didn't know men could cook like this, to be clear, like the best Latin food.
Oh, this guy got everybody scared in the neighborhood.
It's trick or treat, it's the civic duty. You're giving out candy and then making them realize what Halloween used to be like when people weren't scared to scare people.
But
There was a couple of guys I scared. I was worried. There was like 5 of them.
big guy,
Big guys. I'm like,
in the street,
crazy doctors
chasing.
about to get lit up. But I had some full-grown men running down the street, and I'm chasing them just to make the point. In my experience with Florida Public Schools in Daytona, I'm sitting there like wondering, wait, we're learning all this stuff, which arts and crafts are good, PE is good, teaches discipline, but I'm like, no one stopped to talk about a monthly budget, how to use financing and how to use these different things. And you have to start to wonder, is there a reason they don't teach that in public schools?
Right now, they don't teach you how to write a signature in public school. They took that out. So we're teaching our kids now at our school how to write in cursive. They took cursive writing out of public school. So my daughter, she's 27 now, but when she turned 19, we went into get the bank account. And I told her, you got to sign your signature. She wrote her name. And Ed White at the time, they don't teach that in public. They don't teach cursive writing. They took that out of schools like over 10 years ago. But we do it in private. We teach them how to write in cursive.
99% of people see this and they're like, this is a war zone, this is a dump, I don't want to be here. So to think this is the hottest spot in town in 5-10 years is hard to people to understand. And the reason it's the hottest spot in town, you can go anywhere and build suburban development, houses, boring apartments. But here, if you keep all these buildings, like these two are already renovated, and then you have infill here of apartments that are new and trendy, and you mix in the new and the old, that's where you create unique culture. And it starts with arts. They call it the Phoenix Arts District, because these buildings have been used for the last 20-30 years in a real rough neighborhood as art community where people would come together for free and basically set up and paint. We're gonna check out one of the buildings that's under construction before we see the co-work and the event space, just to get an idea of what something like this looks like before and during the process of converting an old warehouse into a really cool space. So we'll just come into about here because it's an active construction site. This is about 50% improved, and you can tell because the trusses still look great. You can't build trusses like this anymore, the engineering that goes into that. But the floor, the platform, and what the guys are working on now is about $150,000 in new windows they're gonna go in to the face of the building as well as back there. And they're gonna be a metal that looks like the old original building, because when you're developing these types of properties, you can't just use the cheap product. You have to use the right product that pays homage and looks right for the building itself. So let's go check out a couple more of the buildings that are further complete. We're out in front of Emerald Station. We're gonna run through this building. It's one of those iconic buildings because it was one of the early adaptive reuse projects. So when you look at the detail in here, the architects did an amazing job. So you have the original trusses, which you literally can't build these like these anymore. The exposed brick. When I first came to this building, it looked nothing like this. It was completely dark, completely dirty, didn't even look like a building that you can keep. And what the architects did a great job of is using design to mix in the new with the old in a tactful manner. Keeping all these original floors is really hard to do. As you walk through, you'll see a little bit of the place as new, but the majority of the floors are the existing original wood, which is a true rare amenity. We're here with Clayton Tinkle with Twinkle Event Management inside the Emerald Station. Excited to have you here today, Clayton.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Could tell us a little bit about the Emerald Station, the events that you're having here, your great organization, and some of your other venues.
Sure. So we're trying to get weddings, corporate parties, booking out the holiday season, especially community engagement. Porch Fest, Spar was here last night, which was great.
Yeah, I saw that
ribbon
online.
Ribbon cutting was last week.
What a huge event.
And then, yeah, again, just private events. Pretty much anything that we can hold in an old empty warehouse is what we're after. So main space, of course, we're set up for Spar for last night. About 140 chairs are out right now. So most of your cocktail hours or wedding ceremonies, all that stuff will be in the main space. And then we have 2 suites or green rooms right outside this door.
Ribbon cutting here a week
when
ago.
the Emerald Trail is done.
Yeah, it's probably set up like that, right?
This
just
will
to
all
give
be
audience
literally
idea.
the Emerald Trail
So
right
it's a
up
big
in between
space,
us and the tracks right here. It's going to be great for community engagement and more outside activations.
So we're out in front of Springfield Lofts. We're doing the best that we can to keep the property secure and safe. But in the other side, that's half the equation. The other half of the equation, we're working close with the city. We have some old construction drawings that we're bringing back in for permits, and we're working with the city on a funding agreement that we can take to the bank in order to get the construction financing in place in order to turn this into 78 units. With all this ground floor retail is going to all be, this will all be community area, and that building over there is going to have a cafe that overlooks the park. And so the neighborhood will be able to just walk right up to a bar window and order food and drink. And that's important because with the Emerald Trail, a lot of people from downtown are going to be coming through here in a few years when that trail is complete.
It's going to be amazing. This place used to look absolutely immaculate.
Yeah, we'll pull up some photos of what used to be here. It was the synagogue, a beautiful synagogue, one of the most beautiful buildings in all of Springfield, burned down in around 2010. We got involved in like kind of 11, 12, 13 on the rest of it, but you can see there where it used to connect to that building. And then you had the synagogue here, you had the Jewish Community Center, and then the dormitory. So we're keeping the gymnasium and the community center as well as the dormitory, and then adding new buildings here, and there'll be a pool that overlooks downtown. All right, we're in the afternoon after lunch at Hola Tacos, historic Springfield. We're now back at the Carpenter Grand. We previously talked about this building over a year ago when we first started working to dry in the roof, protect the windows, protect the basement. Today, we're now at the part of the project where we're on the interior renovations of doing some lipstick, some painting, sanding the floors, different things to get it ready for its first events coming up. We wanted to go dark in this room because it was totally different. We kept all the trim, kept the lighting, you keep the flooring, you keep all the main elements so it honors the historical character, like these original brass lights. But what we did different is we gave it a dark coat of paint in here, so it would feel like when you go in this room, it's smaller. So when you go in this room, it's gonna open up and feel bigger. It's sad because these are the original seats that are up here and they're still in great condition.
There won't be no use for these ideas, right?
The only time people would sit up here is to watch a wedding, which is cool, or to watch an event, but it's gonna be a little bit rare. While if we made it flat, you could use the space a lot. What we're gonna do is we're gonna come back and put in a large velvet curtains that will close here. So if there's a wedding downstairs, you then come upstairs to have a cocktail up here, close the curtains, the velvet curtains. Down there, they're gonna go set up for dinner, and then they'll open the curtains back up with people up here having a drink when all the tables and candles and food and everything's set, like 100 years ago, like you do at a big broad event. Down in the basement, before the building got abandoned and started, well, like the last operator was a nonprofit, they stopped spending money on it. But before that, this was a daycare at some point and then a separate performing area. Down here, right now, it's the last phase. We're getting upstairs open first so we can start to create some revenue to show the bank the income property and go back for a larger construction loan and in partnership with the city. But eventually the space down here is a really cool, unique space. There's flooding though from the creek that comes in, and so we had to install a sump system to drain the water and pump it out. But one day this could be a bridal suite where they get prepared to get ready for upstairs, or the bridal suite could be upstairs, and this could be something like a little yoga place. So we gotta rip all this stuff out, expose the original elements. Like this is added in the 70s, I would estimate. So we're gonna rip this back out to take it back to the early 1900s and then have another cool communal space. In 5 to 10 years, you have a separate entrance on the side. This could be like a speakeasy and a lounge underneath the event center upstairs. And then rich mahogany, velvet, furniture, and chandeliers all throughout. We're out in front of City Hall right now on the Weldon Johnson Park, downtown Jax. And this is an integral block because you're on Monroe with City Hall. Gateway is right over there. The water's over there. The bulk of downtown high-rise is there. But with City Hall right here and with the park, we're walking over to check out the Dalton Agency. Dalton Agency was one of our downtown investments where we were looking at a great creative company that did a sale leaseback, sold us the building, stayed in it. And what's exciting is you look at this area and you look at where it's going, eventually this could be a high-rise site, and we're having those discussions now, but fortunately the Dalton Agency is a thriving PR business in downtown Jackson. It doesn't look to go anywhere, and one of the leaders of downtown business in the city of Jacksonville. You missed it. No, we have to stay professional. So we're inside the Dalton Agency, which is a really cool company, led by great leaders. I think it's 30 years old, and they like this building and the space because it's a creative agency. And so obviously you look around, like the place is really inspiring. From the colors to the build out to the skylight, you just don't see anything like this kind of build out. You have the basketball courts, the open air, pool table in the middle of an office building. It's good vibes. All right, productive day so far. Friday evening, wrapped up with a full day asset management. We went along each property from North Springfield all the way through downtown along the Emerald Trail. And this is really what hands-on asset management is. Meeting with the tenants, putting eyes on the property, making sure that the areas are cleaned up in the right direction, networking, working with everyone to make sure that neighborhood is raising up. This was the last building that we saw, the Dalton Agency downtown, which is a future strategy of potentially this being a high-rise site. Tonight, what we're gonna do is get ready for Porch Fest tomorrow, which is all about community engagement, placemaking, having a good time and giving a little back. We sponsor Porch Fest every year because we believe it's a vital part to downtown urban Jacks and everything going on in Springfield. And then once we get through with this weekend, then we're gonna be back in the office next week, underwriting, studying new deals, and looking at the future of the business.